You finally buy the bag, the one with the logo everyone recognizes. For a few days, you feel unstoppable. Then, quietly, the feeling fades, and you're already eyeing the next one. Why does owning something expensive feel less like satisfaction and more like a craving that never quite gets fed? The answer isn't really about the product. It's about a loop in your brain that luxury brands have gotten extremely good at triggering, again and again, often without you noticing it's happening at all. Let's start with a name you might not know but should. Economist Thorstein Veblen wrote about this over a century ago in 1899. He coined a term for a very specific kind of spending, one where the entire point of the purchase is that other people can see it. He called it conspicuous consumption. The value of the item isn't just in what it does, it's in what it signals. A watch that tells time perfectly for $20 does the same core job as a watch that costs $20,000. The difference isn't function, it's the message the second watch sends about you. Does that sound familiar? Here's where it gets more interesting, because status signaling alone doesn't explain the addictive part. For that, we need to look at what's actually happening inside your brain when you interact with a luxury logo. Researchers studying brand psychology, including work by marketing scientist Martin Ryman, have used brain imaging to show that recognizable luxury brands activate reward circuitry in ways that resemble other pleasure-driven behaviors. Seeing a logo you associate with status doesn't just register as information. It lights up the same reward pathway involved in anticipating something genuinely rewarding, the same pathway involved in food, in social approval, in nearly anything your brain has learned to crave. This matters because reward pathways aren't built for lasting satisfaction. They're built for anticipation. The moment right before you get the thing is often more intense than the moment right after, which means the brain isn't really rewarding you for owning the luxury item. It's rewarding you for wanting it. Now, here's the twist almost nobody talks about. The way you pay for something changes how much you're willing to spend on it in the first place. In a well-known study, economists Drazen Prelec and Duncan Semester at MIT ran an experiment auctioning off tickets to a sold-out basketball game. One group was told they could only pay in cash. The other group was told they could pay by credit card. The credit card group bid, on average, roughly twice as much for the exact same tickets. Nothing about the tickets changed. Only the payment method did. Credit cards separate the pleasure of buying from the pain of paying, and that separation makes spending feel almost weightless. Luxury purchases, often financed, often tapped instead of counted out in cash, ride directly on top of this effect. So you have status signaling, pulling you toward the purchase. You have a reward system lighting up at the anticipation of buying, not the owning. And you have a payment system that hides the real cost in the moment it matters most. That's already a powerful combination. But there's one more piece that makes the whole cycle repeat. Psychologists Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell described something called the Hedonic Treadmill back in 1971. The idea is simple and a little unsettling. Humans adapt quickly to almost any positive change in their circumstances, and then return to roughly the same baseline level of satisfaction they had before. That new bag, that new car, that new logo, it gives a genuine lift. But the lift fades faster than you expect, and your brain resets, quietly asking for the next hit to get back to that same high. This is why luxury rarely feels like a rival. It feels like a treadmill, exactly, because it is one. You're not chasing happiness. You're chasing the return of a feeling that's already leaving the moment you catch it. Think about what all four of these mechanisms do when they run together. Status signaling gives you a reason to want it. The reward system makes wanting it feel good, even before you own it. The payment method hides the cost. And the hedonic treadmill guarantees the satisfaction won't last, which means the craving comes back. That's not a coincidence. That's a loop, and it looks remarkably similar to the loops that drive other compulsive behaviors, even though nobody involved needs to be doing anything sinister for it to work this well. None of this means you're shallow or weak or bad with money if a logo has ever pulled you in. It means you have a brain that responds exactly the way brains are designed to respond to status, anticipation, and painless payment, running inside an economy that has spent over a century getting better and better at using all three at once. So what actually helps once you can see the loop? First, separate the anticipation from the object. The excitement you feel scrolling toward a purchase is not information about how much you'll enjoy owning it. It's mostly reward circuit anticipation, and it peaks before you even click buy. Second, notice the payment method doing its job. If a purchase feels weightless, that's often the signal to slow down, not speed up. The lighter a purchase feels in the moment, the more it's worth double-checking. Third, expect the fade. Knowing in advance that satisfaction will likely return to baseline within weeks doesn't stop the treadmill completely, but it does let you ask a sharper question before buying. Not, will this make me happy? But, will I still want this once the initial lift wears off? You finally bought the bag. For a few days, you felt unstoppable. But the real logo worth recognizing was never on the outside of the product. It was the loop running quietly inside your own head, waiting for the next thing to want.